everybody. So in this video we are going to go over the new patch. It is version 0.45. We're going to talk about some basic information about it. We're going to go through some different key parts, at least that I think are key. A lot of things we've been waiting on for a very long time. So it's super exciting. I think that this is going to refresh a lot of things in the game and kind of liven it up a little bit. I'm really excited about it personally. I hope that this video kind of helps narrow down some of the information from the patch notes, so that way it's a little bit easier to understand. And as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Every view really makes my heart warm. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's get started talking about the new patch. Okay, so I'm going to present things a little bit differently in order of the way that they are listed out in the patch notes, just simply because I think some things just kind of like mixed together, and so that way we have all the information all at once. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Gemstone Prime changes, and some of the things with this kind of encapsulate everybody, not just the people who have Gemstone Prime. So the first thing is that instead of having multi-battles that you're going to get speed tickets. And we're going to talk about those in a second because I'm pumped. So instead of having the additional multi-battles, the way that multi-battles are going to work now is you have an unlimited number, just an unlimited number that you can use, but you can only use a certain amount at a time. Now obviously once you run out of energy, you run out of energy, but there's that. So if you do not have Gemstone Prime, you're going to get 10 multi-battles at a time. If you have Gemstone Prime, you're going to get 15. So this means just instead of like running your gazillion multi-battles all at once, you can only do it in like 15 segments, or 10 if you don't have Gemstone Prime. With the Prime update, you're also going to get an additional 25 energy, which is pretty cool. So instead of the 120, you're going to have 145, which is awesome because energy to me is like the most important thing that I can have. I'm watching ads all the time trying to get free energy. You're also going to get an additional 300 artifact storage, which is awesome. It means I won't have to go through my crazy purges as often as I do. It's really going to help, especially for things like free artifact removal weekend, where like you go through, at least I go through and I remove a whole bunch of stuff and then reapply it back onto heroes. And then you're going to get an additional 35 speed tickets a day. So if you do not have Gemstone Prime, you're going to get 15 speed tickets. If you have Gemstone Prime, you get an additional 35. So let's talk about those speed tickets. We have been waiting on these forever. And I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited about them. There are some stipulations to it, and we'll talk about that as well. So one of the big things is that you have to complete the level that you're going to speed ticket on 3 stars. Now the star system is changing, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But in order to use a speed ticket on a level, you have to have already gotten 3 stars on that level. It basically is like a super fast version of a multi-battle, and you can use up to 10 if you don't have Gemstone Prime, or you can use 15 at a time, basically the max amount of your available multi-battle queues that you can do. You can lose if you use a speed ticket, so be careful on what levels you are choosing to use these on. I personally am going to be using them on rifts, because those take the most time for me. I can do campaign battles really quickly, and that's not an issue. I can just grind that. It's no problem. But I'm going to definitely be using them on some of the higher rift levels, especially like the yellow rift that just drives me crazy. It's I hate the yellow rift so much, but that's a whole other side story. So let's talk about the star system. So it is changing. If you have already gained 3 stars on a level, you don't have to go back and replay it, so that's really great. But instead of it being where you have to complete it with 3 heroes alive at the end of your battle, it's now going to be that you have to complete it in a specified number of turns. Now in the notes, I didn't see exactly where the specified turn counter is for each battle, and I think it varies based on the difficulty range. So like, your Phoenix 20 is going to be a higher amount of turns than like a Phoenix 3 is my assumption, but I'll find out when this patch goes live. It is new to Rifts entirely, so I'm really excited to go back through and like 3-star all of Rift, because I think it's going to be really fun. It's a new challenge to me to be able to do that. And then it does go back to campaign, that instead of having those 3 heroes alive, it is going to be a specified number of turns. Again, I will reiterate, if you have already earned 3 stars on a level, you do not have to go back and redo it. You will just retain those 3 stars that you already had. So those do tie hand in hand. So before you can use speed tickets on a level, you have to gain the 3 stars. So for me, going through and doing rifts is going to be a high priority for me, because that's where I feel like I'm going to utilize those speed tickets the most. Another one that is a big change is a raid boss swipe. So this is pretty cool. Basically, you always have to do at least one manual battle on the raid boss before you can use the swipe button. So essentially what this is that if you fight the raid boss and you're cool with your score, you can duplicate that, but you have to duplicate it in its entirety. So you will still have to use a raid boss key. It's gonna have to, resurrect your heroes with those apples that you use, and then any potions that you use will have to be regenerated. So let's say you use 5 mana pots, you're gonna have to then use 5 again on your duplicated raid boss hit. Excuse me. So with this, instead of having to go back into the market, and I think this is a really cool way that they did this, instead of having to go through the market and like refresh forever to try to find the ones that you're going to need to replicate your hit, it's going to automatically purchase those for you. So like I said, if you did use 5 mana pots, you will then automatically have purchased 5 pots if you did not have those available. So that's pretty cool. You have to watch your gold usage on that, I'm sure, because it could get a little frisky if you're just like using potions like crazy, especially if you use some of the more expensive ones. So but you do have to have one hit done before you can replicate it on that raid boss. It doesn't like go back to previous raid bosses that you've fought. So I think that is pretty cool. The next thing that I want to talk about that I am so jazzed about, diamond scrolls. Sorry. It is fall time here and my allergies are going bananas. So I apologize. So the diamond scroll, it's going to be extremely rare, and you're going to get it for like different event loot, and you'll get the diamond scroll shards, but it is a guaranteed legendary hero that's not a dupe. Like, I am so excited about this because I'm cursed with Yaga. Like, I just pull her all the time. I'm like, I don't want any more. I'm done. I have enough of her, please. So I think it's really awesome that it's a guaranteed legendary first off, instead of the way that the platinum scroll works right now. Again, it's going to be rare to be able to get the scroll shards for it, but then once you do have enough and you pull a hero, it is a guaranteed non-dupe legendary. So thank you devs, we love you very much. The next thing that we're going to talk about are chain events and battle events. And this the information was kind of scrambled to me in the notes for this, but essentially it's going to be new challenge events is kind of what it is. So like the chain event reminds me of like a miniature version of Path of Destiny. So like you have to complete the first stage to be able to go to the next stage, and you'll get the loot as you go along. You don't have to complete it to get all the loot, because you're going to get some as you go through, but then if you complete it, you get more loot. So I think that's pretty cool. It's going to be like with battle events and stuff, it's things like you have to go into a battle with only rare heroes or like only mages or different things like that. So it's really going to be a fun challenge to be able to utilize our rosters and really like find creative ways of using heroes. And I think that is going to be really valuable to be able to see our heroes in action in different ways than we've used them before, because it can really kind of open our eyes to our own heroes and how we can use them, or like different teams that we could use that we never thought of using before. So I'm really excited about that, because I know, and I'm sure I'm not the only person, I have a lot of heroes that I've maxed out, and then some of them are just sitting on the bench because I can't quite find the right team to use them with. So I think this is going to give an opportunity to really delve into our rosters. So I'm excited about these. And they're going to alternate months. So like, instead of having the puzzle hero every month, you're going to have it every other month. And then there's going to be these battle events or chain events that are replacing that. So it's every other month that we're going to have something different. I think that's a really great change, because sometimes the calendar can feel really monotonous. So I think that's going to be a positive change, just kind of all around. The last thing really is Guild Wars. So there are some changes with this that I think a lot of us have been waiting on, and I think it's going to challenge us a little bit more. First thing that's a positive note is, instead of just the guild itself, like the whole guild, being able to opt in or out of war, if the whole guild is opted in, but one player is, say, going to be on vacation to Hawaii, which I'm jealous of that person if that's the case, but if they're going to go on a vacation and they aren't going to be able to participate in war, the leader can then go in and opt them out of war, which means that they're not going to show up as the active list in your roster. And that way, I think that is going to really kind of develop more communication between the members, and kind of make us more aware of different things we have going on if it is wartime, so that we can be more equipped to strategize if we know that somebody's not going to be available. Which, I mean, in Obsidian Grove, we're pretty good about communicating absence, but it is really hard still to look at that, like 24 out of 24 hits still available, and be like, oh, man, I wish we could have used those hits. At least this way we know that they're not available. So that's a really cool change. And then the war history is now going to be available for a longer span of time, because right now the only way you can really see it, it's kind of odd, is like you have to go in at the very end of war and then like click on the info icon and then take screenshots so that you can look at it again, because once you get out of that screen, I haven't been able to ever find it again. So that's the only way that up until now we've really been able to look at that history, see like the scores and how many hits people used and all that stuff. So now that's going to be available for several weeks at a time to be able to look at, and I am very excited about that, because I like to go back in history and kind of see the way that people are utilizing their hits, and it's a development opportunity. So now it's not just that I have to go back through screenshots forever. If I don't want to leave the game, I can just go into the war tab and look at that history now. And the exhaust system. This has been long anticipated. So basically, instead of just having an unlimited amount of reusable defenses that you can throw in forever and that they're the same team over and over again, every time a defense is used now, it is going to be exhausted. So there are 3 stages of exhaust. There's 1, 2, and 3. Once it reaches the 3rd stage, it can continue to be used, but it won't get more exhausted at that point. So at stage 1 of exhaust, it is down 5% attack, 5% defense, and 5% speed. At the 2nd stage of exhaust, it is down 25% attack, defense, and speed. And then at the 3rd level, it's down 45% attack, defense, and speed. So it's going to be a little more challenging to try to decide whether to reuse certain defenses, or like if you're going up against a team that you've already faced before, you know that they're going to be exhausted, if you will. I think that it's a really good change, but it is going to be a challenge as far, especially for like teams that like not full guilds that have to reuse their defenses a lot to try to like maneuver around the field. So it's going to be a challenge for sure. And then the last thing is just a couple of like other little side notes that they put in there. Just two things that I thought were standouts of like bug fixes and different things that they had. There is going to be a little dot on the guild icon that is going to remind you to check in every day, which it's just easy sometimes to forget the check in. Like you go through and you do your daily quest and you get that, but then you just forget to check in. I don't know. It becomes mundane sometimes and you just forget to do it. So with this, it's going to remind you that you still need to check into your guild. And then one thing, and this is, I'm really excited about this, and it's so random. When you receive raid boss keys as loot, they're not going to be grouped together anymore. They're going to be separated, which is so great, because there have been many times that I have gotten, say, 3 raid boss keys as a loot for like guild wars or whatever, and they're all clumped together. Like, I don't need to use 3 raid boss keys at once. 1 maybe. So I'm really excited about that particular change. So that's really all I have for the patch update. If there are any questions, feel free to leave those in the comment section. If I don't know the answer, I'm sure that I could find it. I'll just reach out to Bloodrun maybe. And I hope that you found this informative. Sometimes reading through the notes, things can get a little sketchy in your brain. So I've read through them a lot, and then I'm definitely here for you guys if you need any help with anything. Again, if I don't know the answer, I will find it. And don't forget, there is a code right now. It's Lilarium_gaming, and that is valid through October 20th of 2022. So make sure you use that, get some free goodies, and I hope you guys have just a really amazing day. Thanks for watching, guys.